Hello everyone, so I'm making this video just in case any of you are running into a similar issue, especially if you're, well, not even especially, if you're using an AMD card, because you may end up getting different results depending on which drivers are running. And what I mean by that is AMD, unlike NVIDIA, they do actually make their drivers open source for Linux. You don't actually have to use the proprietary drivers, but they do exist, and there are actually some reasons for why you would want to install it. Like in my instance, for example, I have the proprietary drivers. I have both the open source and the proprietary drivers, and I mainly have the proprietary drivers installed because of AMF. I need AMF because the encoder that comes, I think it's called VAPI, that comes with the open source drivers, is not very good. So if I want to record videos, I would much rather use AMF. And if I go to settings here, go to output, and here it says HEVC, which is the encoder that I use from AMF. Otherwise, I would be using a different one, and this is actually a specialized build of OBS, so the regular OBS wouldn't even, I don't think you can actually get AMF to work with the regular OBS build. So that's pretty much how I do things, at least for video recording. And initially, I was just like, whatever, like things are doing fine. I didn't really have any reason to be concerned about anything else. And a lot of that was due to the fact that for a while I was actually assuming that my computer was running on the open source drivers. And that's when I started to running into some specific issues that I wasn't getting before, or ones that I just weren't even really expecting. I'm gonna give you an example. So let me actually show you an example of exactly what I mean. And the perfect game to exemplify this is Like a Dragon Ishin. Because this was a game that, well, this is a demo. I don't have the full version. This was a game that at first I started noticing a very strange issue at the beginning where the game took an abnormal amount of time to boot up. Like this will take a couple of seconds to actually show the normal text here with the, like, I don't know, some fucking weird copyright shit or a warning or whatever the fuck. But like, yeah, this is taking a while. This is taking quite a while. This isn't normal. This isn't normal to take this long for the game to actually boot up. But it's gonna boot up eventually. And if I actually show you the stats for my CPU, it would show like it's fucking just cranking the fuck out of the CPU. Like this section here alone where it's loading the game. Alright, there it is. This game contains flashing lights and effects. So yes, it's some fucking health shit. So yeah, just let the game load. Also, just for transparency, I disabled VSync because I actually want to see the absolute maximum frame rate that I can get. It might be a little less just because I'm recording this with OBS, but it shouldn't really be that much. Now I'm gonna show you. Doesn't matter the difficulty. So I want you to actually check the frame rate. So it's showing here 140, 130 frames per second. Which, to be... Oh, actually, in some instances, it actually drops below 100. Now, the thing is, this frame rate isn't that bad. Like, this is still pretty playable. But what I remember when I first downloaded this demo, my impression was that this feels a lot less than what I should. And this was when I started to notice that, yeah, like, is this game like being so severely bottlenecked by the CPU? And what was really fucking me up is that later on, I ended up testing the same game on Windows, and I was getting way better performance. Like, with VSync, I was able to get this game playing at like 165 frames per second consistently on Windows. But as you can see here, I would not be able to achieve this. So I was just confused. I was just really confused. I wasn't really understanding what was causing this. And I ended up, doing a little bit of research. And initially, the solution that I'd come up with was to go to the launch options and type DX11. I think that if I were to do this, actually, let's test. Because I think if you do this, what'll happen is that this will start using DirectX 11 instead of DirectX 12. Actually, I just realized that I fucked up. It's not just DX11. I have to also put this dash before. I think now it should work as intended. Okay, now it's showing DXVK. So that's because it's using DirectX 11. And it will actually improve the performance. You'll see in a second. So yeah, as you can see there, now it's going quite above 130. I mean, it's still stuttery. Like, the game is still stuttering a lot, but, it is what it is. Like, this isn't really gonna matter anyway when you play the game again, when you revisit the same area. But, like, yeah, the frame rate is just a lot better. It's, like, way fucking better. But this was still strange, because I still couldn't quite understand why this was happening, especially because when I went to the ProtonDB page, I did see a mention of someone adding this, but even then, like, it wasn't like a very common solution. Because if this was a big, like, problem that was affecting so many computers, you would see this suggestion a lot. But I think I only saw, like, once. So this had to have been an issue that was very specific to my computer. And that's when I realized that the reason why this was happening, like, I realized this, like, I don't remember how exactly I figured it out. Actually, I think it was when I was testing Resident Evil 4. Because Resident Evil 4 is even, like, I don't think it's gonna have that problem now. But holy fuck, this game, when I first when I first installed the demo, this game was borderline unplayable. The textures were really fucked up. The frame rate was incredibly fucking low. I think now you're gonna get a pretty like, this to me is fine. Like, the performance here that I'm getting right now, this is actually completely fine. But you should have seen this game when it wasn't fine. And it was actually this game that made me realize that, because I was reading through the posts, forums, and stuff like that, and I actually saw someone adding a specific command that I did actually recognize because I had used that command before. And it was a command to basically force the computer to run the program under the open source drivers. And it was through that I made the realization that, wait a minute, all this time I was actually running the proprietary drivers. And this isn't even the only instance where this was kind of fucking up my experience. Another good example is Yakuza Dead Souls on RPCS3. Let me actually show you guys. I think I can close this. Now, just for the sake of showing you exactly what I mean, I'm gonna change the graphic device here to the proprietary one. RADV is the open source. It's part of the open source drivers for the Mesa drivers for AMD. I'm gonna change the proprietary ones because I want to show you guys what the fuck happens when I run this game with the proprietary drivers, because it's not a good sight at all, and you'll see in a second. Ignore this. I know a way to fix this, but it has nothing to do with which driver you have. The little fucking white borders, it's not really relevant. I hope you guys are prepared for what you're about to see, because it's not a pretty sight. Jesus fucking Christ, man. Look at this. It is broken. The textures are all fucked up. And it's the proprietary drivers. That's what's causing all the issues. And if you run into issues like that, there is actually a way that you can fix it. And let me show you what exactly it is. So in this case, I'm going to use Steam as an example. See here with actually also what I'm showing you right now specifically with KDE. I'm sure whatever desktop environment you have their own unique ways. But yeah, so here in the properties, go to applications, and here where it says environmental variable, you have to add this command right here. I'll actually show it on screen in case you guys are having a bit of trouble reading this, but like, yeah, this, vk underscore icd underscore file names equals user share. This is basically the location of where the open source JSON file, the Radeon JSON file is located. And you need to add this command. It might not work immediately after you save it. You might need to restart your computer. But yeah, if you add this command, your computer will run the open source drivers by default. And I can show you right now because, actually, hang on, let me just fucking, oh, I already removed that game. Because if I show you right now, like, as you can see, I didn't add that command, the dx11 command. This is going to run purely with just the open source drivers. It's not going to run under DirectX 11. As you can see here, it shows VKD3D, meaning it's running under DirectX 12. But you're going to notice that, first of all, the loading is way faster. And then you're definitely going to see once we get to the gameplay. Alright, game's about to start. And yeah, honestly, looks way better. I'm not seeing any, like, even the amount of stutters on screen reduced dramatically. It's not nearly as stuttery. And I'm getting what's essentially double the frame rate. Sometimes a little bit higher than that, actually. And yeah, like, this is one instance where, well, it's not even the only instance, but in a lot of instances, you may end up having to rely on the open source drivers because, generally speaking, for gaming, they're a little bit better. And I'm pretty sure even the Steam Deck uses the Mesa drivers. Also, while I'm playing here, I might as well show you guys something. Yeah, FSR 2.1 supports it. It has no problem supporting it. Like, pretty much all the features. Like, I don't think this game has ray tracing. And actually, if I wanted to use ray tracing, I would need to rely on the proprietary drivers because I don't think Mesa supports it yet. But yeah, at least for FSR, I'm not gonna enable here because I don't really need it. I've even played this game at 4K and I didn't really need it. This game's not that hard to run, actually. There are some games I would need to rely on FSR. Like with Resident Evil 4. I think I can run the game at 4K, but I would definitely be pushing my limitations with the graphics card that I have, which is an RX 6900. This game looks really good, actually. I really need to save some time to play this game because it looks really stunning. You know. But like, yeah, just wanted to make a video talking about that because, you might be running into a similar issue, and if you are, make sure you're actually running with the open source drivers because, in most instances, it's just going to run a lot better.